Welcome back to the show. Dust joined us again. So Dust, 16-1, lots of stuff to break down, I suppose.
Yeah, that was definitely a brilliant game, wasn't it? I mean, really back and forth affair, really felt like NRG was in it the whole time. But, you know, somehow SK came up with it. It was a miracle, right?
Took the ball and ran with it. I respect that. That's really good stuff. Any clips, anything in particular that stands out to you in that? I mean, yes, it's a 16-1, but it's like if you go back to the MLG Columbus Major, right? You had that overpass match with SK where they ran over Na'Vi.
Yes.
And people said, oh, you know, that the final sucked because of that. I mean, Mirage, the first map was really good, but the second map, they say, you know, that sucked and it was boring and stuff. But for me, it was super interesting because you saw a lot about the SK setups. So
yeah, I mean, this is just a video. Just if you didn't get to watch that match, I really feel that this round sums it up. Just these types of things were happening all the time for SK Gaming, and I think it's really just you have a situation where you have what's probably the best Overpass team in the whole entire world playing against a North American team who used to actually ban Overpass quite a lot. They just recently started playing it. And I mean, this is just a whole new Titan to go up against. Sure, they've been beating up on some smaller North American teams lately as they've been trying to incorporate this map into their pool, but this is just a whole nother monster that you have to wrestle with, and they just couldn't do it. I mean, SK just plowed them. I mean, what else is there to say?
Taco has been watching some Bob Ross. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
painting with his AK. Yeah,
it was just a showcase in the second match. I don't know why we're looking at Cobblestone now.
Why not, James?
Yeah, why not just look at some more action from Taco here on Cobblestone?
Yeah,
definitely.
James, I'm suddenly aware that every time Mr. Mouret appears in the studio, you're asking him for clips as if he's a stationary salesman.
Say that again, Dan. Sorry. I had people in my ear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, the entire thing?
Yeah.
I was just saying, every time Dust is in the studio, you're asking for clips like he's a stationary salesman.
It's actually cool we get to see some of these clips.
How long have you been working on that joke for?
No, well, you make it weird now because you're like, I didn't hear what you said. Can you please repeat that? Now it sounds super lame.
Well,
Thanks, James.
I'm glad I didn't hear, and I regret asking.
Yeah.
For the second time
You should learn your lesson.
Yeah, this is all SK basically. But we saw Bardolph smoke from NRG. I mean, that's the real replay highlight. I mean, this particular round.
I think for me as well with NRG, it did feel as though they really didn't have a very good read at all as to how SK were building their rounds early on, like how their defaults were progressing early on. Because with a team like SK on the very, very top level, you want to be able to interrupt the defaults of the team. You want to take an informed aggression, whereas like if we do this, then we can interrupt what is supposed to be their normal opening for the round. And that's how it works at the very, very top level when you're beyond we just play good fundamentals and don't mess that up, and then we can win matches. And against SK, you need to be able to do that. And it felt like they were making like wrong guesses all the time, like pushing people, having like really deep A-long setups and stuff, and SK just taking all the parts of the map they wanted, nothing to do with long. Always the middle area and connector, sewers, and then toilets. It's like a really nice, just gave them all the options, and there was never a response for it. So there was a few chances, sure, but it still feels like they didn't have a good read on what SK were doing.
I think it's hard to read SK now. I mean, I think this is a testament to their development. Like they've always had, like you noted, this methodical, default style. You know exactly where the players are going to start out every round. You know how they're going to progress through the map. But now, I feel like ever since MLG Columbus, like over the last 6 months, and Navi's gone through the same thing where they just have these explosive play sets now. They lean a little bit heavier towards one side of the map than the other, and it's hard to pick up on that. So yeah, I think they did a really good job of just making themselves difficult to figure out throughout that entire game. And to be fair, that was just raw fragging, right? I mean, when you have Taco just walking into the A-bomb site and just triple killing people with ease, you can almost run any play at that point. It's going to work.
And one cool point quickly to make about SK is the very interesting thing about SK is as a maybe world's best team, consistency doesn't become a problem for them because they've obviously shown us that they are consistent. That's basically the biggest battle for the majority of teams, is having consistency at your peak. But for them now, the trick is actually being unpredictable. And that's almost like a contrast, like a juxtaposition to consistency, because consistency can best come from structure. But they don't want structure because that is going to hurt their consistency against the very top level teams. So that's like an interesting aspect to them at the moment. And I think, as Dust pointed out, we tend to see that from them. They can mix things up and be unpredictable, and that did completely catch NRG off.
So we've got Team Liquid coming up in match number 3, the second half of our show today. Now, Liquid are a team where obviously Simple, Big Star has disappeared. We've got Pimp coming in. I wouldn't say to fill the shoes. I think personally, it's just a different team that we see with such a difference in two players. Personally, I expected Pimp would be a very good fit for Team Liquid's. Did you have any thoughts before he came in? And do you have any thoughts based on recent performances, of which there are not many just yet, but...
Right, I think it's kind of a tale of two different stories here. One is, like, how do you replace Simple? How do you replace someone who's that explosive, who I really felt helped solve Liquid's choking issues, because when the team would begin to fade, he was the one that could dig you out of the hole with a really big play. And it's hard to replace that, because I don't know many people like Simple who can do that for you. But at the same time, I think their performance at ESO1 New York, particularly when they beat Fnatic on a couple of matches, took a map off Navi, they made top of 4 finish. They proved they can still be successful without him, but they have to do it in different ways. They have to be a bit more crafty. You know, they have to get a little bit more out of some of their other players. And Pimp has to be able to still be able to deliver. And I thought he did at New York. And I think he's been adapting slowly online as well. So, no, I think that, yeah, it hurts. Certainly, it hurt them. But they're proving they can still, you know, make it happen, even with the lineup they have now.
So, Dan, what do you think about a Liquid with Pimp? What are your expectations for a team like that?
It is an interesting one. And I feel like Liquid was never necessarily the team that lacked enough, you know, firepower. I feel like they do have a lot of other ways to solve issues, and I think like the choking thing is like that. I mean, obviously we see it with Astralis is a very actually kind of depressing storyline, so I don't want to open that can of worms. But obviously there's more going on there than just having a player solve it. You actually need to have a good team environment, and I think that Pimp can provide that. One thing that Pimp definitely has is a very, very strong desire to win. Now, I don't know how Pimp is actually when it comes to, you know, playing with the team on a daily basis. Like, you know, how does the chemistry work between the players? Obviously, with Simple, there can be some, you know, there were some issues there within the team, but his skill kind of just made up for that. So that's very much a band-aid solution for that team in that sense. Pimp could actually transform them into their next level as a unit, which could make them very strong because he's adaptable. He has that will to win, and I think it will. If there is any chemistry issues, potentially, he's got that will to win to the degree that he'll throw away, like the ego, he'll throw away anything that's going to compromise that fact. I think he will. I think I agree with you. The fit is good. It will just take them some time to integrate. Obviously, the honeymoon period, we're all quite aware of that. NIP had a very strong honeymoon period as well when they had, they won Malmo after Threat came in and changed all the structure. So it's very early to call it, but I feel like it is a pretty cool pickup.
Right, so their opponents we will break down after the break, and we're going to have that match starting very shortly indeed. So stay tuned, guys, and we'll see you on the other side for map number 3 of For Today.